just make my way over. Good morning, everybody. So I want to talk a little bit about solving problems. And I think a lot of the speakers we've heard today have discussed solving problems in different ways. And really the problem that DevCamp is aiming to solve is the issue of skills. Right? And how do we align skills with society? We've had such a massive change over the last few years, and will continue to change over the next few years, in the need for engineering talent, particularly in London, as technology companies continue to develop. Just a little bit of background, I've been running and starting consumer technology businesses for the last 18 years, originally in Southern California, the last 13 years here in London. And the thing that I've noticed more than anything else is there has been a dearth of talent when it comes to the folks who are building the software that we build our businesses on top of. And the creation of value is going to be based on how we can develop this skill base that is indigenous to our society so that we can continue to build some of these great businesses. So if you look at this great Bill Gates quote, which Gates says today he never actually said, we never really know, I think it gives us a sense of how quickly things change and how we can't anticipate what is going to happen. And so as long as we have the skills base that can keep up with what is happening today and what we can build tomorrow, we will be able to anticipate and continue to develop the businesses and enterprises that we need. I'll talk a little bit about DevCamp and what we've done and what came out of it. I think you're going to hear from CDI shortly, which is addressing this on a macro level. DevCamp is kind of a micro level. So nearly 2 years ago to the day, we had student demonstrations here in London. And the demonstrations were based on the fact that tuition fees were going up to $9,000 a year. And I really despaired when I saw these demonstrations, mostly because students were demonstrating about paying $9,000 for a degree that wasn't going to help them get a career. Right? I think particularly in this country, we've seen a overindulgence in humanities degrees and an underfocus in science and technology, particularly starting at lower levels of education, moving all the way up. And we can talk a little bit about what that means. The great irony of this is the following day, Google said they were going to give all of their employees globally a 10% raise and a $1,000 bonus. Why? As a retention tool, because they knew that there is huge competition for people who have skills in engineering, in technology, and they need to keep the folks they have. So on the one hand, while we've got protests about the price of a humanities degree, on the other hand, we've got Google saying, hey, here's $1,000 and another 10%. How do I get more people like this? There's an event that just recently happened for the third year here in East London called the Silicon Milk Roundabout, and it's effectively a jobs fair for the technology companies in the area. You will see, over 100 companies exhibiting who have present openings for 1,500 to 2,000 jobs roughly in product management, design, and engineering. And now we've got hundreds and hundreds of people coming into this fair who are getting closer and closer to being on the mark of skills. There is still a huge disconnect, and there are still more job openings than there are skills to meet them here today in London. Now the question is, do we not as a society have those skills, or are those skills somewhere else and we need to bring folks here, right? This is the Wren Library, beautiful building, houses all the great books of antiquity. We also know that by 2015, we'll be creating 92 million Libraries of Congress worth of data every year. Right? So again, the changes in technology and the acceleration of technology is going to create more and more dislocations in our businesses that we will be required to have the skills to meet these challenges. The UK today produces about 20,000 new engineers every year. By comparison, India creates about 500,000, China 600,000, the US about 75,000. About 4% of all university students in the UK read engineering at a degree level of any kind at all. 4% today. Again, you can kind of see where kind of UK and non-UK students are in postgraduate engineering degrees. The story is a little bit the same. Particularly worrying is around girls and what girls' role models are. Dorothy Hodgkin is the UK's, I believe, only Nobel laureate in the sciences. Not a lot of folks know who they are. When we talk to the kids at DevCamp, no one knows who she is, right? That's an issue that, kind of swimming upstream on some of these things culturally, but I think there's a little more effort that we can put into this, right? Who remembers the Whopper from War Games, right? So I was at a talk 2 weeks ago with the CTO of Amazon who was talking about Amazon Web Services. And right now there are companies that are building supercomputers of 50,000 cores on top of AWS in 3 hours for $5,000. Right? We're talking about supercomputers that just a few years ago would require $50 million to build, are being built in 3 hours with $5,000. Now, the UK actually has the right stuff. If you look at it per capita in terms of Nobel laureates, right now, I think only Israel on a per capita basis has more Nobel laureates than the UK, right? Far surpassing the US. So certainly the base is here in terms of education. Just after that, after Google gave $1,000 to each of its employees, the head of Google Europe said that there would be 500,000 new jobs created in Europe over the next 5 years in the technology space. The question is, where are those jobs going to be created? The skills base exists somewhere. They're going to be created where those skills exist. So a group of people came together to form DevCamp. And one of the speakers earlier was talking about the fact that community doesn't exist anymore, and I would actually disagree with that. I think community exists in different ways. One of the ways the community exists is through DevCamp, where you have Wired, who has been a great supporter, Rich Mix, which is a local arts organization in Tower Hamlets, and a number of technology companies who will benefit from the growth of the skills base in East London coming together to say, how do we put together a curriculum to introduce young people to technology careers and maybe ignite a little bit of passion. So the idea of DevCamp is this. We bring together 50 young people between 14 and 18 in a summer program. We have volunteers from the community. It's a 3-week course. And over the course of 3 weeks, they build a Facebook app, they build a web app, and they build a mobile app. Most of the young people who have come to DevCamp don't know what HTML is when they start, just as by comparison. The area around Rich Mix where we hold the course is right next to the Boundary Estate. 75% of the young people in the Boundary Estate are on public assistance. Most of them don't have any kind of connectivity or computer in their home as well. So here's a few really bad photos to show you exactly what happens. But 30 apps built in 15 days by 60 children. Here's a couple of the apps. One is to listen to your favorite song and share it on Facebook with your friends. There were a couple of sisters who were 13 and 14 who built an app because they love cooking 5-minute meals on, videos of 5-minute meals on YouTube that they could share with their friends on Facebook. Here's a mobile game that was built, and my personal favorite is the Homer Simpson donut game that was built by some of the students here. Now, the thing is that we don't really focus on building hardcore engineering skills amongst these kids, but what we want to do is teach them that they can build something very fast, they can learn to do something, and they can take it away when they're done. So just a little bit of data on this, right? So 80 young people have come through the course so far, 42% female, about 25, 26 industry volunteers, and I think Rosha, who's 13, actually was probably the most interesting quote at the end, who was saying it was great for her CV at 13 to go through the course. So she's really got a pretty good head on her shoulders there and thinking about where her future is going to go. Mike Lynch, obviously, our goal is how do we build a few more Mike Lynches, right? We can't construct them, so maybe we can ignite some passion amongst the young people of East London to bring a few more of these guys. So, what can we do, right? This is a quick snapshot of a micro program that's come together very quickly to help build some skills. I think as a society, there's some broader things that we can do. We can think about how we price technology education. If we truly believe we need more engineers in society, maybe it shouldn't be $9,000 for an engineering degree, maybe it should be free, right? And maybe a sociology degree should be $100,000. I don't know, right? But we really need to think about what do we need as a society, and we can make the choices that we think will get us to the right result. The other thing that we certainly can do is, which the group of people who have created and continue to build DevCamp certainly do, is we feel we have an obligation to do this. We benefit from the fruits of society. We feel like we have an obligation to give back and do something here. And I think if all of us feel this way, there are thousands and thousands of DevCamps and similar programs we can build. Thank you.